Hey everybody, welcome to American English Online. I'm Christopher, your American English teacher on YouTube. Today we're talking about music, and I have my friend Pedro Rubiano here. He is a professional musician and he's in a band, and he's going to talk to us a little bit about music. Ready? Let's go. Okay, let's get started. Pedro, thank you for being here.
It's a pleasure, man.
All right. I have a couple of questions for you, and I think that many people are interested in knowing about music and about your music, and also just the general vocabulary and how it is being a professional musician.
Let's do it, man.
All right. So I have my notes here. I've got some questions that I prepared for you. Okay, I prepared some questions. So first, how did you get into music?
Well, that's an interesting question, because I think it's always been with me, and you know I've always had a great time listening to my parents' records and etc. So it always started as a game. I would put some records on, and then I would get a broom and pretend it's a guitar, and I was in a live concert and etc. So
air guitar master at a young age.
So there's not air guitar, but there's a broom guitar. Maybe it's a new category.
Yeah.
So there was a point that my parents said, "Hey man, let's get this kid into music school." So I was about, I guess, 9 or 10. So I had piano lessons. Then I went to guitar. Then I sang in a choir. You know, at this time, a few years later, when I was 11, 12, I started to get really interested in rock music. You know, so whatever was going on in the 90s, and I was lucky enough to have some friends who were into music too. So, you know, it's like, hey man, why don't we start a band? So, you play the bass, play the guitar, so let's get together. And that's how we started, man.
And great friendships form that way, too. People, you know, they're in bands for 30 years together.
Yes, and I wonder, maybe if I was the only one in that, you know, circle of friends, in those environments, maybe I could have quit, I don't know.
You wouldn't have become, you've gone so far, maybe.
Yeah, but, you know, having those people and, hey, let's play together was essential for carrying on.
Cool. So you kind of, you know, you led each other down that path almost.
Yeah.
Were your parents musicians?
Not at all. I think I'm the only, I'm the first one. My father used to play the guitar a little bit and the piano, but, you know, he was the kind of guy who had lessons when he was younger, and then he never played again.
Okay.
He wouldn't play around the house, you know, so it's...
If you don't keep up with it, it's hard to play well later.
Yeah, definitely.
Kind of like a language.
Yeah, definitely.
Like a language. All right. So I'm guessing nowadays you play some shows. How often does a professional musician usually perform?
Well, as often as he can, you know, but I would go like, I would say a person who plays bars, events, he or she would play maybe 3 or 4 times a week, you know. I don't play that often because it's not my only job, and I'm more into my own stuff, you know. I write music, we can talk about that later.
Sure.
But it's, but I usually play 2 or 3 times a month, you know.
Okay. And I know for a fact that you have played more often than that before, and I've even been to some of your shows.
Yeah.
You're a very accomplished musician, so it's kind of like juggling your life as a musician with regular work, or no? Like, I know that, you know, from my experience, that I've had to do not only what I love, but also some other things at the same time. Is that the case with musicians? Is that normal?
Yeah, you know, there's a bunch of people who, you know, they only play. I mean, that's a horrible sentence to say, you know, just like, yeah, because it's kind of a joke. Oh, you only play, you don't have a job. You know, this kind of things, you know.
That's what I used to get.
But
oh, like, you only teach? Oh, great.
Or fight, right?
You only train.
So yeah, and so I think that's the case, you know. But there's lots of people who work exclusively with music, you know. That's a better sentence.
Well, I guess what I meant was, are people out there like, they decide, I'm going to be a musician, and they feel like they're going to, that it's going to be easy. Like, is it common for musicians to also have second jobs and things like that?
Definitely. Even when you get like very famous musicians, you know, for a while they used to work for a store and play gigs or in a movie rent. I'm talking about long
Yeah,
time ago.
no, yeah.
Or a car wash or anything like
Sure,
that. You know?
I saw videos of Nirvana playing in a record shop.
Yeah, man. So Kurt Cobain, for example, used to work in a hotel. So you can find like lots of examples. Like even today, like the guitar player of Raimundos, which is a
Big,
very
yeah,
famous,
huge.
yeah, he's a dentist.
No kidding.
Yeah, so when they go out on a tour,
Nowadays, it must be by choice, though.
I don't know.
Really?
He works, yeah, because he's a new guy after Rodolfo left the band,
gotcha,
but maybe he was working as a dentist before, and now he kind of balance, his life between.
So, is that advice that you would give to someone to continue in school while you do music, or go to school for music, or forget everything, follow your dream, just do music, scrape by?
Well, that's not an easy answer because it depends a lot on the person. But of course, if you want to be successful in anything, you gotta apply your time and dedication for that. Mm-hmm. If you're not doing only that, it's a personal choice, but definitely you need dedication.
Awesome, excellent. All right, this one here is gone. So, what is the day in the life of a musician? What type of thing do you do day to day? Typical day.
Yeah, so you gotta be practicing constantly, and you go to bed late.
Okay. Why?
And because usually the gigs start around 8, 9, 10. It depends a lot of like if it's a weekend or something, and it's a lot of contacts, man. You're always like looking for festivals and preparing materials, sending to bars and to
what
venues.
kind of materials do you prepare?
Well, just like when you start a new project, you have to get some cameras, some microphones, put on some good clothes, play a couple of tunes, and then you put on YouTube, and then you send a link to maybe people who hired you. Because usually when people reach me, hey, can you play in my wedding or anything like that? I say, yeah, so do you have a video? Can I find you on YouTube? So cool. These kind of things.
Yeah, so it's almost like you have an audition tape,
yeah,
basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. So which instruments do you play? You said at the beginning that you started out learning piano, you said?
Yeah.
And then you went to guitar.
Yeah.
Do you play any other instruments?
Yeah, and the ukulele.
The ukulele.
Yeah,
wow.
that's recent.
Cool.
That's recent. Yeah, I started with the piano because people always say that it's like the basic instrument. People say that if you
The uke?
No, the piano.
The piano, yeah.
If you play the piano, you can understand any other instruments. I wasn't in the mood. It was kind of my mom. Go there and play the piano.
All right.
But but she was right. That after, then you can figure out the notes and etc. So it's very cool. But my main function when I play the gigs, when I record, is I'm a singer. Mm-hmm. So I play a little bit of the guitar, the piano, or the ukulele, but just to accompany myself, just to be the rhythm and the harmony.
Mm-hmm. So you have something to sing to.
Yeah, exactly.
I got you. So. You're the vocalist. Do you have any other vocalists? And do you have any other singers in the band, or?
Yeah. I have this buddy, Luis, and he sings with me both in Sol de Papel. It's the rock band, and we have a new project. It's kind of more acoustic rock called No Recreio, and he's always singing with me.
That's cool. What other things do you do in the band? So you've just talked about how you have to put together material. It's not just, well, let's go play. Right? There are other things you do. So, besides playing an instrument and singing, what else do you do? Who writes the songs?
Yeah, I'm a songwriter. Actually, that's my favorite part in music. Just sitting down on the piano or the guitar, and, trying to capture a melody and then putting the words together.
Like the self-expression of it?
Yeah.
That,
It's all about creativity, man. It's something that makes me really feel alive. It's my favorite part, actually.
wow, that is awesome.
Yeah.
Do you manage yourself? Do you have a manager? Is it common for people to do that themselves?
Nowadays it is. Nowadays it is because there's a lot of people who hit big time managing themselves. You know, on YouTube or in these streamings. Nowadays it's very accessible. So you can play if you play. If you record a good quality track, you yourself can upload to Spotify, Apple Music. You know, it's very easy nowadays.
Cool.
So you don't really have a manager. I guess only if it gets too big.
Right.
Then, but you can do it yourself.
It's more work than you can do, and also commit to playing and doing other things.
Yeah, yeah.
Then you might need another person. But that's cool how, media in general, technology has brought people closer to the end product.
Definitely.
They don't need so many middlemen anymore.
Yeah.
Like I was just checking out a thing like self-published authors. They don't need a publishing house as much anymore. It's similar, I guess.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about your instrument?
Yeah, Chris. So here we have an acoustic guitar, man. You have the strings, 6 strings. This is the E, A.
Wait. Sorry to interrupt you.
Sure.
You said we have the acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
What other guitar is there?
There's the electric guitar.
The electric. Okay.
Yeah. But these ones, you can the electric guitars, you can actually hear them. They have to be plugged to an amplifier. This one also can be. You can put a cable here. So if you're
cool.
playing with a PA. But as you can hear right now, it's pretty sounding.
Yeah. Well, and like when you plug that one in, it doesn't become an electric guitar. It just amplifies the acoustic guitar, right?
Yeah, exactly. You don't have like overdrive or effects. Those things are usually for electric guitars.
And how do you do those with an electric guitar?
You need pedals, and then there's lots of kinds of pedals like chorus, the delay, and you have the overdrive, which is like the crunchy sound of rock and roll, like a bang,
Yeah.
So,
and the old time like wah pedal.
Yeah, the wah pedal, wow, yeah.
I love that.
All of those things they go in the electric guitar, yeah.
So what are the parts of the guitar?
Well, so we have the neck here. We have the frets. They mark the frets. Yes, they mark the notes. You have the hand of the guitar, and here you can tune, right? And as I was saying, we have the 6 strings. You got an E, you got an A, D, G, B, and E again. So with the 6 strings and using the frets here, combining the notes, then you're gonna have the chords.
So you have the same string on there twice.
Yeah, the last one and the first one is the same string.
What's the difference?
Well, this one has a low sound and this one is higher.
It's in like 1 octave?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
One octave, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. And so there are always 6 strings?
Yeah, there's some guitars with 12 strings, but it's like doubled. It's the same notes, the same string, but you're gonna have 1 low and 1 high side by side.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is it more difficult to play?
Not really, unless you're doing solos. But if you're playing chords, it's kind of the same level of difficulty, but it's gonna sound fuller.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, what are some of the first things that you learn when you pick up guitar?
Well, after learning the strings and the frets, you start building the simplest chords. Usually people start with A, because you can get here the 2nd fret, and the strings, they are on the top of one another. So this one it's easier, it's kind of just a grab, and you have an A.
They're all close together.
They're close together, yeah.
But chords always use 3 fingers for a chord?
Not really. You can
It's more complicated than that.
4, yeah.
So you can sometimes use 2, sometimes 3 fingers, sometimes 4.
Sometimes 4 fingers, yeah.
It depends on the chord.
It depends on the chord and how complex it is. Because usually a basic chord, you're gonna have 3 notes, right? But you can use the 7th, the 6th, and then sky's the limit.
So you can do the same chord many different ways.
Yeah, exactly. So for example, that's an A. That's also an A. That's also an A. just like you're thinking of a piano that you can do like many times. The keys repeat themselves. Here you have the same situation.
Cool. Do you have to learn to read music right away? Like when to read music, what is reading music?
Reading music is when you have a music sheet and or a score. It's actually a score, and you can actually follow, just like when you're reading something out loud. As you read, you can play. To play the guitar, you don't really have to read music. You can read the tabs. The tabs are usually the lyrics of the song with the letters. The letters, they indicate the chords.
Okay. So it's a little easier to read the music if it's represented by chords, and then you play the chord, and then you can just fill in with some other stylish thing. Like,
yeah.
Okay.
For example, let's take Imagine, for example, by John Lennon. The simplest way is you're gonna have the lyrics.
Can you play it?
Yeah,
Can you show us something?
So you're gonna have a C and an F. So all you have to do is get the lyrics and follow the letters. So there's, for example, the first verse is, imagine there is no heaven. There's going to be a big C indicating the chords, and then you go, imagine there is no heaven. Then there's going to be an F.
And that's so you switch.
Yeah, and then you switch. And then the next verse, you have the C again. It isn't hard to do. So that's the simplest way of reading music.
Nice. What about those rock bands where the guy, they call it shredding, right? He's like going up and down, and are those chords?
No, that's a solo. Actually, it's one note played in a different time, but really fast. Or that's it. And we have the riffs. The riffs, they are like musical sentences.
Huh.
So, for example, like. And then it repeats. Yeah. This Ripper by the Beatles. So that's a riff. It's kind of a solo because you play a note each time, but it repeats. So it's kind of a sentence, a riff.
Yeah, very nice. Cool. So do you have any specific skills that you practice except for just playing chords? Is that like playing riffs? Is that like set exercise? Like you have to always play that song? Like, is there a name for those exercises?
No, not really. We actually
do you play scales?
Scales, yeah. So usually start with these kind of exercises, But that's not really a scale. It's just a coordination exercise. And then when you learn scales, that are combinations of specific notes, then we start practicing them, Okay. So if you wanna be able to play those fast solos you mentioned, you gotta do lots of scales.
Yeah. Spanish guitar uses a lot of that kind of really fast and specific kind of what do you call it? Exact finger work,
Yeah. Because
it's really difficult.
Pop music, they usually use a pick, which I don't have here. But Spanish, they would go like. You're gonna play with your fingers, actually. So there's this different kind of sound.
Yeah, I like that though. It's awesome. That's cool. So as a professional musician, like now you've been playing for years and years and years.
Yeah.
Do you still do those exercises, or are you beyond that? Do you always practice fundamentals?
No, I still do them, but when I sit down to practice, it's usually vocal exercises, which are very similar from those. You go like la 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 la, trying to be very accurate, and or maybe when you have like one note distance to the other one, like all of these are exercises.
So you're going back and forth.
Yeah, exactly.
So you got to be real precise. Accuracy is important.
Yes.
Cool. So, Pedro, tell me, what's your most memorable moment as a professional musician?
Well, I got some, but one of them you were there. That's when we played the opening show for Titãs. It was very special. I remember it was the very first big rock concert I've ever been to. Okay. I was around 13 or 14 years old. And then years later, I was there on the same stage. It was really special.
That's awesome. Yeah, and they're a huge band. If you know who they are, great. If you don't know who they are a very famous, very popular and skilled band. Like, they have great music. The lyrics are great.
Lots of hits.
But that's got to be a great feeling, not just as a musician to play with them, but maybe for your resume also.
Yeah, definitely. When I tell people that, they go like, "Really, man? You open for Titans, you know?" And whenever we're playing on a different city where people don't know us, it's kind of, oh, they play for Titans. You know, it's a different game.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it changes kind of, you know, they recognize you a little bit more.
Yeah.
As musicians. Cool. Who's been the biggest influence on you as a musician, as a person, kept you going?
All right. That's not an easy one, man, because I could mention lots of people. Like, I played a tune by John Lennon. You know, the Beatles were the very first band I ever listened to. You know, I knew the songs, the lyrics. They helped me to catch the language. You know,
yeah, cool.
I improved my English a lot with music. But, you know, people from Seattle, near your hometown.
Yeah, it's near home. So
Nirvana, Pearl Jam.
Yeah, you're talking about kind of that grunge scene.
The grunge scene, yeah. They kind of shaped me as a musician, my view on writing music. But in Brazil, for example, I gotta tell this guy, it's kind of a joke now because everybody talks about Raul Seixas, but he did something incredible. Really? I think he got the sound of rock and roll, and he could really mix that with our language, the Brazilian language, in the Brazilian culture.
He made rock Brazil. He made Brazilian rock.
He made Brazilian rock and roll. Yeah, definitely.
That's
so
awesome.
I gotta mention this guy.
Yeah, that's cool though, and you know he's a very famous artist, musician as well. So you know, I think it's just fascinating. I think you're a very skilled musician and songwriter, and I just wanted to say thanks for coming and doing this interview. It's raining really hard now, so might be a little bit difficult to hear, but thanks for doing this. I appreciate you having me here.
I had a great time, Chris.
Awesome, man.
Thanks for the invitation, brother.
Cool, man. And that's it, you guys. Check out the links to his channel. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your channel?
Yeah, well, actually, you can check on the streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer. Look for Sol de Papel. You'll be able to listen to what I wrote.
Cool, very cool. And I'll leave a link in the description as well. So check out the vocabulary, right? I hope this helped you learn a little bit more about music and the guitar and the life of a musician. And as always, let's practice. Nina, sério. Should I turn it a little bit more? No? No, that's fine. It's grand. Irish English.